Alrighty then. Um, Today's lesson's on the Indian Removal Act, and it's also better known as the Trail of Tears. This yesterday, in the previous video, you went over Andrew Jackson and what made him good, what made him democratic. Now we need to flip the other way around, and we need to talk about one of the darkest stains on Jackson's presidency and also American history. And we need to ask ourselves a question: was the Trail of Tears a genocide? And what a genocide is, sorry, a genocide is a targeted killing or removal of a certain group of people. So an example is the Holocaust. That's the one you guys are going to know the most. That is definitely a genocide. Other examples are the Armenian genocide, where during World War I, Turkey targeted Armenians and exterminated a lot of them. Another example is the Rwandan genocide, 1995. Another one would be Darfur in 2003 in Africa. You're targeting a specific group of people to exterminate or to remove. So some background on this is you have Georgia expanding west. So you have them getting in contact with a lot of other Native American groups. As America moves westward, they're going to be in conflict with Native American groups. It's just going to happen. Jackson does not like Native Americans. He spent 20, 30 years fighting Native Americans. He is not a fan. In 1830, he gets Congress to pass the Indian Removal Act, and then it gets challenged a couple years later in the Supreme Court case called Worcester versus Georgia. Now, what this court case is saying, let me give some background. This guy, Worcester, I don't know how to say his name. He is a white dude in Georgia. He's a missionary, and he goes to help Native American groups. But the problem is that goes against federal treaties. So the treaties that Washington, D.C. made with these Native American groups. So Georgia state laws did not want to help Native American groups. They wanted to kind of make it hard on them. Supreme Court rules against Georgia. They say that a state cannot make laws targeting Native American groups that goes against federal laws. Basically, imagine like United States went to war with England again, and then Georgia was like, oh, but we're cool though. We're going to make a separate treaty with you, and then we're going to be cool, and it'll be fine because we're not like the rest of the states. Now, you can't do that. States cannot make their own treaties. Like Hawaii could not, during World War II, could not have made a separate treaty with Japan saying like, hey, we're still cool, right? No, it doesn't work like that. So basically Supreme Court said, okay, Georgia, you cannot make laws targeting Native Americans or this specific Native American group because the federal government already made a treaty with them like 20 years ago, and they said they wouldn't hurt them. And Andrew Jackson, like, you're going to back this up, right? And he goes, oh, it's helping Native Americans? No, we're not going to do that. And Jackson ignores the Supreme Court ruling. He says, I'm going to do what I want anyway, and you have to deal with it. He says, John Marshall, who's the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, made his decision, now let him enforce it. Basically saying, he can't do jack, he can't do squat, I'm going to do what I want because I'm the president and I have an army, and what's he going to do about it because I don't care what he says. And he goes ahead and does what he wants anyway, which is kind of a big deal. Like, imagine if like Donald Trump did that. So anyway, this is the group in question, the Cherokees, now, and then the Creeks. So the Indian Removal Act sends them on this forced removal to what is now Oklahoma. Now it's Cherokee territory, or sorry, back then it was Indian territory, now it's Oklahoma. So they basically get forced to walk all the way from Georgia and where they're living across different routes to Oklahoma. And I don't know if you've ever been to Oklahoma, but it sucks. It is terrible. Back then there's no fertile land. It's hard to grow stuff on. There's some water nearby. Weather's not that great. There's nothing there. They're kind of forced to live on this bad land so that the United States could grow. And a lot of Native Americans die on this journey. Tens of thousands of Native Americans die as they're being forced to walk all the way from this area over here in the winter. It's snowing in a lot of these areas, and they're being forced to walk through it. So it's called the Trail of Tears. That is your context for this. So what we have here is on Google Classroom, you're going to see another document called Trail of Tears in some way. And it is a account of what it was like to do the Trail of Tears, but it's an account from a US soldier that had to force Native Americans to do this journey. So this would look different in class, but it's the Rona time, so we're in quarantine, so we can't do it in class. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to read the text on Google Classroom. It's going to have 3 columns. You're going to have one on the left, one a big piece in the middle, and one on the right. I want you to read the big piece in the middle, and then stop and do the questions on the side. Normally, I'd have you do this paragraph on the back, but I'm not going to have you guys do that because things look a little different just because of the quarantine and all the craziness. So yeah, I want you to go through, I want you to read that, take care of the questions on the side, share it with me when you're done. And yeah, once you're finished with that, you can watch the rest of this video. So if you want to pause that, do that, and then finish this, I'm fine with that. But I'm going to carry on and assume that you paused because you're all good people, kind of. Yeah, no, you're good people. No, kind of. So why do we care? Why does this matter? Why are we even learning about this? First of all, the United States might have committed a genocide, so that's worth learning about. Second of all, this area, Indian Territory right here, a lot of this community, a sizable portion of Oklahoma and throughout the United States are what are known as reservations today. So a reservation is a Native American town where they were forcibly moved and they forcibly had to live there. And a lot of these places still exist. So there are areas where like, oh, it's life on the reservation. So today on reservations, statistics say 40 to 80% of adults are unemployed. That is a huge amount. For context, the US unemployment rate went from 3% to 6%. And people are freaking out. So I imagine 40 to 80%. That is a big number. Those that are employed learn low wages, the poverty level. So it's not that no real good jobs exist in the reservation. Some people that live in the reservation have to drive out of the reservation and to have a good job, and they have to go back every day. Today, 30% of native housing is overcrowded and 50% is connected to a sewer line. Imagine like basically wherever you live smells like a sewer line all the time. Not that fun. There's a lot of overcrowding. So this person says it's not uncommon for 3 or more generations to live in a 2-bedroom home with inadequate plumbing, kitchens, facilities, cooling, and heating. So that's like sharing a room with your grandma, your grandpa, and like 2 siblings. And then your parents and probably some other cousins are in the other bedroom, and that's it. So very crowded. And then your pipes don't work, your kitchen facilities don't work. It's not a fun time. The last one, some other health stats. Native Americans are in today's time, are almost 200% more likely to die from diabetes. They're 500% more likely to have tuberculosis. They have the highest rates of poverty and domestic violence in any group in the United States. 82% more likely to commit suicide, especially in male youth. And then infant death rates are 60% higher for Native babies than for white babies. These are all incredible statistics and how like terrible they are. So Native Americans have traditionally been the worst treated social group in United States history, more than African Americans even. They were kind of hunted down. And when we do California, we're gonna learn about kind of their hunting down of Native Americans and all the bad things that happened to them. And then consistently throughout the 1800s and 1900s, it doesn't, it gets a little better, but not much. So Native Americans today are still one of the hardest hit social communities in the United States. And it kind of can stem from the Trail of Tears. So kind of the big question moving forward is a lot of people are very reluctant to embrace this part of America's history. No one wants to be seen as the bad guy, but I think in some of these states, especially Oklahoma and Georgia, are a little bit reluctant to embrace this as part of its history. So why do you think that? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Leave a comment below. Like, subscribe, ring the bell for more videos or whatever. And yeah, hope you enjoyed this. Please make sure you do the text. And this is probably where we're going to end the week off. Actually, no, ignore what I just said. That might be wrong. Have a great rest of your day.